When I was in my early 30s, like maybe I was around 33, I'm not sure. But I started to get curious about having children. Like, why do so many women have children? You see, I was like working hard in my film career. I was doing really well. I had an amazing job. I was the only female doing the job where I lived. And so I felt like, this is good. This is fun. I was living large, but there was something inside of me being curious. Why are all the women having children? So I did what my brain thought was a wonderful thing to do. I asked the women, the most important women in my life, why do you have children? Or why should I have children? Or why would one have children? So I asked my mom, and of course, she gave me all the wonderful reasons why she would have children, why she had children. And then I talked to my best friend, and then I talked to my cousin. So they all gave me wonderful reasons why they had children, or why someone would want to have children, or why I should have children. But it was just kind of not enough for me. I'm like, yeah, those are great reasons, but they don't resonate with me. They don't speak to my heart. I'm not inspired to go and have children. And I thought, this is weird. Maybe I'm just somebody who shouldn't have children or isn't meant to have children. And then literally one day I woke up thinking, oh my gosh, I need to have children today. It was that internal drive, that animalistic instinct to be like, now is my time to have children. It was so fascinating to experience this change in myself. I shocked myself. I had no idea what was going on. I just knew that I wanted to have children and I was ready to have children. And so that's when I had Phoenix. And then 3 years later, I had Santos. The reason I'm telling you this story is because we all become mothers for different reasons, in different ways, at different times of our lives. It's just fascinating. Like, I had my pre and postnatal fitness studio, and I saw all ages and types of women having children. But the reason I'm telling you this story is because the one thing that they didn't tell me, they don't tell you a lot of things, because my question wasn't like, tell me all the things about motherhood. My question was, why would someone have children? That was my question. So they left out a lot. And one of the things that they left out was the fact that when you give birth, like, it feels like the second Phoenix was born, they take these mothers, or I was taken and dipped in a huge vat of guilt. Just mother guilt. Like, what the hell is this? I had no idea this existed until I became a mother. The second Phoenix was born, I just was like dripping in guilt, and the party hadn't even started yet. We were like, he was just born. So it was fascinating to watch. And as I went through motherhood, I could see this, not just, it wasn't a me thing. It is across the board. As soon as you become a mother, you are just steeped in guilt for everything. But the interesting thing is, there's also something called shame. And I don't think shame is really a motherhood thing. I think shame is a female thing. And I think guilt is the motherhood thing. Now, the difference between guilt and shame, because they're kissing cousins. They're really, really close. They're very similar. But the guilt is like, oh, I did a bad thing. I'm not enough, or I shouldn't have done that. And so I did something wrong. And the shame is like, I'm wrong. The guilt is I did something bad. The shame is I am bad. So there is a big difference between the two. And that's why when I became a mother, I didn't feel that shame. It was more the guilt. I have to do more. I have to be more. I have to show up in a certain way. I have to do everything just right. I'm responsible for all the things. And it was just never good enough. And then the shame is like who you are as a human being. And that's why I say it's a female thing, because I think that the shame is like a societal construct, and it's definitely learned through nobody ever said anything about, you should feel shame or you should be ashamed of yourself. But it's through lived experiences. And I definitely think it's more of a female thing than a male thing. And the reason I wanted to talk about this is because as we go into midlife, we're trying to let go of who we were and the guilt of the motherhood, because now when our kids become independent people, now's the time for us to let go of all this guilt. Because I say that because it's so hard to do it when you're in the middle of it. Like, you can't be like, this is guilt, Heather, just let it go. You're doing a great job. It doesn't work like that. And you are probably laughing with me because it's just like, how did this happen? How did I get all this guilt? So when our kids become more independent, and remember, my mission in life is for my kids, for me to be irrelevant to my kids, meaning not that they don't love me or want to be around me, but they don't need me to survive. They can take care of themselves. Because as moms, a lot of us, we think that's our life purpose, but it's not. And so that's why it's important to be irrelevant to your kids in a way of like, let them live their lives. So we're not interfering. So it's their lives and not the lives that we think they should be living. It's so important. But now that you hit this when you're in midlife, you can let go of all of the guilt. Some people that I come across in my coaching practice and that will still be talking about things that happened when their kids were younger. So we're still holding on to the guilt of how we parented these children. And I'm inviting you to just let that go. Let it go, because it's done and we did the best we could. We always want to remember that. And I always invite people to think about that when they're talking about or thinking about or working on their relationships with their parents. Your parents never started this journey and went, okay, I'm going to screw this kid over. They always did the best they could with what they had. And I know that seems like a cliche, but it's true when you look at their experience and you get to know who they are as a human being, not as your parent, but who they are as a human being. And in turn, you're doing the same thing. Like, we never set out to be like, how can I mess this kid up so that they have a miserable life and need tons of therapy? No, we try to do the best we can with what we know and what we have at the time. And then when we look back, we're like, I could see how I could have done a better job, or I could see where, I messed up there. But I want to invite you in your midlife journey to just let go of all of that, knowing that you did the best you could with what you had at the time, so that we're not reliving the past. Because we don't want to get stuck in the past. Remember, the past is the past. It's behind us. And the only way it gets to this moment right here is if we bring it into this moment. Otherwise, we can just let it be in the past. And every time we bring it into this moment, we give it more life. So I'm inviting you to just leave it in the rearview mirror and let go of it. When we hit midlife, let's let go of all of that. And let's focus on this moment and what we're creating from here forward. So letting go of all the mom guilt. That's my invitation for you. And that can be a work in progress. And you want to notice when you're calling up the things and feeling the guilt, to just let it go and be like, I wonder why I'm bringing this into this present moment. Because remember, the only way it gets here is if you bring it here. So why would you do that? Be curious about that. Why am I bringing that into this moment? Because you're trying to make yourself feel a certain way, which isn't good. You're purposefully trying to make yourself not feel good. So let's be aware of that and let's let go of that. We're just going to try that and see how that happens. But the key is to be aware of it. Once you have awareness, you can change anything. That's critical. Having the awareness that you're doing it. And then I want to talk about the shame part, because I feel like shame is a whole other ball game. And how do we transform shame? Well, shame is definitely created. It's an inside job. And it comes from us thinking, I'm a bad person. I'm not enough. And we can become a shaming witness, and that's how the shame manifests. That's how it's created. It's not outside of ourselves. It's definitely an inside job. And when we are becoming a shaming witness, it means the thoughts in our brain are not having our own back. And here's an example that I like to give. And I got this from my mentor. I studied a shame with David Bedrick, who is just such a lovely, beautiful human being. And he just teaches this in such a genuine, kind way. So he gave this example and I want to share it with you. Say you're crossing the street and you get hit by a car. Okay, hold on, cancel. Let me start this. Let me say this in a different way. Say somebody's crossing the street and then somebody gets hit by a car and they're laying in the middle of the road. And then another person comes up to this person and says, "What were you doing? You idiot. You just ran into the middle of the road and got hit by a car," right? That's a shaming witness. Somebody who saw it and then is making you feel worse, bad for it. But then there's the loving witness. And the loving witness comes up and says, "Oh my gosh, I saw what happened. That was terrible. Are you okay? Let me help you up. Do you need some help? I'm here to help you." That's the loving witness. And the beautiful part about this is we get to choose which one we want to be, because it's us in the story. We're the person who was hit, we're the person who is shaming, or we're the person who is the loving witness. And most of the time, like all the time when we're feeling the shame, it's because we're being the shameful witness, the shaming witness. And it might not be words that we say out loud, but it's the thoughts in our head. And it might not be the thoughts in our head that we're aware of, but more often than not, it's the subconscious thoughts that we're maybe not even aware of. "Oh, you're so stupid. Why did you do that?" Right? That could be a reaction that we have, which is a thought in our brain, which is a shaming witness, not a loving witness. And how do we change that? The same way we change we got to bring awareness to it. So first of all, we have to realize that we're being the shaming witness unto ourselves. By those thoughts we have in our head, we have to be the witness of the thoughts. We're the thinker of the thoughts and the witness of the thoughts. And we want to notice when those thoughts come up. And then we want to be like, is that true? Am I really a stupid person? Am I a horrible person? No, we know that that's not true. But we have to bring the awareness to it. And then that's when we can make the change. Because when it just carries on and continues on as an unconscious thought, we don't even know it's running. We just feel shame all the time. And we're not aware of why we're feeling the shame. That's the crazy part, is we're creating it in our brain, but we're not aware that we're creating it in our brain because it's in our subconscious. So it sneaks on by undetected. So I'm saying we want to be like, "Oh, I see you sneaking by. Let's investigate you." Do we want you in our brain? Is it valid? Is it true? Is it serving me? Can I let it go? And then you want to defend yourself. So you want to be like, "That's not true. I am not a stupid person." And you can go into all the reasons why you're not a stupid person. All the smart things you've done, all the schooling you've taken, all the problems you've solved, all the promotions you've gotten, all the children that you raised into amazing human beings. So you go on and you defend yourself. And then you become your loving witness. So you become your biggest cheerleader. So you become the person who is like, "I'm here to help. Are you okay? I saw what happened and it's not okay. What can I do for you? What do you need right now? How can I help you?" And I know this seems like it's a lot, because when we're in the middle of it, it feels horrible. There's nothing worse than feeling shame. It is intense and it's no bueno. It is not fun. So we want to, first of all, bring awareness to it that we're doing it. And then we want to change it from the shaming witness to the loving witness. Because we play all the roles. And I want to offer too that the shaming witness is just from social constructs, from our upbringing, just seeing how women think about themselves. You know, I should be smarter, I should be thinner, I should have more money, I'm just never enough. Shaming ourselves because nobody's coming up to you and actually saying those things to you. These are the thoughts in our brain. So I'm going to be like, aha, I see you, brain. Yes. And that's not true. So now we're defending ourselves. Here's all the reasons why this is not true. And here's how you're amazing. Here's how you're such a loving, kind person. Here's all the amazing things about you. And you want to feel the feelings. Remember, we never want to shove the emotions down. We always want to feel all the feelings because it's just feedback. Emotions is the language of the body. Thoughts are the language of the brain, and emotions and feelings are the language of the body. So anytime we have an emotion coming up, it's our body speaking to us and we're like listening. Okay, body, what are you trying to tell me? Because our body can never lie. Our body is the truth detector. And the more in tune we are with our bodies, the easier it is to unshame ourselves, the easier it is to create what we do want, the easier it is to lift ourselves up, the easier it is to see how amazing and fabulous we are. And this is the kind of thinking and energy that we want to take into midlife as we create this new version of ourselves. Okay, now, where was I before I started having children and raising a family? Back to me. Okay, what do I want to do? Where do I want to go? Who do I want to be? How do I want to show up? And you recreate yourself. When I work with my clients, I encourage them to become the self-actualized best version of themselves. When they become self-actualized, like the person who they dream of being, who they know it's possible, but they just don't know how to get there, that's what we're focusing on. And there's no room for shame in that. But it doesn't mean that anything's gone wrong. It means like, oh, this is when shame comes up. It's like, this is how I learn how to unshame myself. This is how I learn how to get rid of this. This is how I learn to transform this into something that serves me. And remember, shame needs two things in order to thrive. It needs secrecy, like don't tell anybody. The thoughts you're having in your head, don't say that out loud, right? That's the secrecy. And the judgment. Oh my gosh, you're so whatever it is. And the judgment is coming from our thoughts in our brain. It's all an inside job. That's why it's so powerful to do this work, because you don't require anything from anybody outside of yourself. And if you unshame yourself, you are going to free that inner amazingness to go out and rock midlife, to become whoever you want, doing whatever you want, so that you can live out this last part of your life like a rock star, like the queen that you are. Yes, queen, yes. Slay, queen, slay. Like, this is what's possible for you. I get so excited when people come to me and be like, this is what I want for myself. I'm like, let's go, let's do the work. Because on the other side of the work is this amazing life that you've created for yourself. And in order to do this, you want to unshame yourself. You want to be your biggest cheerleader. You want to know when it's happening and how to undo it, how to free yourself from the guilt and the shame that just have along the way, along the journey, they just kind of have hitched a ride. They're freeloaders and we want to get rid of them because you are amazing. And whatever you think you are, you're so much more than that. So let's go find out what that is. Thank you for listening. Always, always, always Love yourself first and have an amazing day.